Welcome back to another episode of the Joey Musto Show presented by Team Musto. Today we're going to be taking a look at the past 7 days in the Maui real estate market. We're going to start Sunday, March 22nd, go 7 days back from there, talk about active listings, talk about the number of new escrows, talk about a couple price reductions that I'm keeping an eye on, and then a new listing in upcountry Maui. So let's go ahead and get started by talking about new escrows. So for the week of March 22nd, 2026, we saw 16 new escrows. This is the lowest level we've seen all year. Previously, it was the week of January 4th, 2026, when we saw 19 new escrows. So the main reason for this is the storm that came through. So I hope everybody is safe and there wasn't too much damage done to people's property. But this likely slowed showings, inspections, and overall buyer activity across the island. Pending activity was scattered with no clear area of strength. Kahului did lead with single-family homes, three home escrows. Kihei saw three escrows. This is really low for Kihei. Two condos, one home. Wailuku recorded two condos and the only land deal. So it's a little bit hard to judge buyer demand based on the past 7 days just because of the storm. But moving forward from there, we're going to talk about active inventory. So the week of March 15, 2026 was the highest level of inventory we had seen all year at 1,598 listings. This past week, it fell a little bit to 1,591, and you can kind of see how it's split with that chart on the right-hand side. Condos make up of a majority, followed by single-family homes, and then land. Where we saw the biggest inventory increases this week was Napili with five condo listings and two single-family homes. Right now, for Napili condo buyers, it's similar advice that I would give to Kihei condo buyers. There's a lot of inventory, there's a lot of options. So if you are thinking about buying a condo in any of, Kihei, Napili, this even applies to Wailea and a couple other areas on the west side. Um, you don't really need to rush into anything. You have time to look around. So go see as many units as you want to before you can kind of narrow it down to a couple and then end up going with your favorite. For Napili condo sellers, what does this mean? Well, more competition means more pricing and presentation matter more. So again, this matters whether you're in Napili or Kihei or Wailea, but it's important right now in today's market that you get the price right, you get the presentation right, and then you're, as available as the competition. So if people want to see your unit, it's important that you're able to get them through and that it shows well. Moving forward from there, how have Napili condos performed year to date? Just because it's an area that I don't talk too much about, but it is similar to Kihei. Year to date, we've seen 21 sales. This is good news for sellers. It's up 31% year over year, year to date, and the average price is down 24.5%. Now, these two stats are good for buyers. Obviously, the average price down and the median price down. Total dollar volume is also down, but that's relatively close. For sellers, you can look at this data, and what you can say is that, at least condos are selling. So it's not a bad time to get yours up on the market. But you do have to understand that it is still a buyer's market out there with the average price down, the median price down. Buyers have a ton of opportunities and they're just better entry points than they were last year for buyers. Moving forward from there, I wanted to talk about the price reductions. So even though we saw drops across most metrics in Maui, like we saw the slight decline in active listings and we saw the new escrows at the lowest that we've seen all year. Price reductions did stay consistent the week of March 22nd. We saw 61 price reductions, kind of right in line with what we've been seeing. 4.2% of the active market. Two opportunities I think worth keeping an eye on are at Keonekai Villages. So I like Keonekai Villages. It's good for entry-level buyers. It's located in South Kihei. It's pretty much like if Kihei Villages was located in South Kihei or South Point was located in South Kihei. Keonekai Villages is located within minutes from Kamaole Beach Park 3. You can literally walk to it. You're close to Wailea and South Maui beaches and restaurants. The two units that I like and that had price reductions was unit 11104. It was a 50 grand price reduction after 27 days on the market. So I think it's important to pay attention to this one because it's only been 27 days that this thing's been listed and the seller has already reduced the price. So I think this shows that the seller is motivated. The floor plan is a two bed, 1.5 bath, which is a little bit more flexible than a one bed, one bath, and it just appeals, to a bigger group of potential buyers. It's a little bit hard to find something for, like If you have a one bed, one bath, it's a little bit harder to find a buyer. 750 square feet and ground floor with private lanai. I like the fact that it's ground floor. It appeals to um, more people, different age range. Like for older people, they might want to be on the ground floor so they don't have to deal with the stairs. This one is priced at $665 per square foot, and that's about 3% below the recent median. The other one that I like is Unit 13208. This one makes more sense to me. It's been on the market 127 days, now has done a 76 grand price reduction. Two bed, one bath, not as flexible as the other unit, 625 square feet, also a little bit smaller, but updated interior with open living area, priced at $638 per square foot, and that is 7% below the recent median. So in the past 6 months, we've seen four units sell. Median sold price per square foot came out to $683. So both of these units are priced below the where the market has recently traded. For buyers looking to enter South Kihei at a relative discount, these are worth watching. So Keonekai Villages is already good for entry level buyers, and I think these two units, based on their price per square foot, are worth paying attention to for entry level buyers. Moving forward from there, new listings slowed alongside buyer activity, so this was another metric that was down. This past week, we only saw 40 new listings. Usually, we're seeing 50, 60, maybe in some cases 70. But the one that I think is worth keeping an eye on is 143 Leohu Circle, which is located in Kualono. It's listed at 2.475 million, three bed, two and a half bath, 2,326 square foot home. It's on a relatively decent sized lot. A couple reasons why I like the location. I like the climate up country. I've lived up here my whole life, and you don't need like air conditioning. You might need fans, but it's just cooler than being like in central Maui or South Maui. You also have bi-coastal views with elevation. So the reason that I like this property and I like this subdivision is because it's kind of like a crossover between Kula and Pukalani. You get the convenience of being close to Pukalani. You're close to Foodland, you're close to Pukalani Superette, you're close to the golf course, schools. I mean, you've got like one, two, three high schools within 10 minutes. You've got two elementary schools relatively close, and then you have one intermediate school that is also within 10 minutes. So I like the convenience fact, but it also feels like you're in Kula because a lot of people that live in upcountry, like the goal is kind of at some point to get to Kula. When it comes to the actual properties out in Kula, usually, they're on pretty big pieces of land, but they're older homes, and you might need to do a remodel or something like that. But the reason people like being in Kula is the weather and also the views. And you do kind of get those views, and you get similar weather, but you get the convenience as well. So that's why I like Kualono. Now that we're going to take a quick look at this property, just kind of go through some of the pictures. It Here's kind of the outside of it here, and it is a nice. It does have nice views, like I talked about, but the home on the inside, to me, it looks a little bit older. Um, I do like the lot, and you are kind of far. It feels, kind of far away from your neighbors. Um, but yeah, the home to me looks a little bit older. Three bed, two and a half bath floor plan. Here's kind of the location of it. So it's kind of on like a curve there. Um, and right across from you, there's nothing obstructing the views. I do like the layout of the kitchen if we can get back into the kitchen there, which we will. But it is a gated community, which is another benefit. You don't see a ton of these in Pukalani and Makwao. You do see gated communities out in Kula, but not really as many gated communities in upcountry Maui as central Maui and South Maui for sure. Um, Big bedrooms here. I do like the space in the bedrooms. Walk-in closet. Nice little dining room table there. Here's the kitchen. Now here's the center island I was talking about. I think this is good, hosting people if you're hanging out in the kitchen. Plenty of space. Half bath there. Kind of outdoor yard area. Good for garden and growing stuff. And then a garage, washer, dryer. Again, looks a little bit older. So the main thing with this one is, I think because of the location and because of the views, because of the convenience, because of kind of the things I talked about. I think this one, it will generate a little bit of interest, but overall, I think it's priced too high. If you look at the past 6 months in Kualono, there was only one sale, 197. I believe this one was on the market for over 300 days, ended up selling for 2.28 million. It was a larger home, similar lot. All the lots are kind of similar. The current listing is smaller and priced higher. And then if you look at the broader market context, again, these are just broad numbers, so it's a little bit hard to comp using this, but Pukalani 1.3 million to 1.6 million, Kula 1.4 million to 1.5 million. So it does sit above the typical upcountry price range. And again, Kualono is a little bit hard to comp just because there's not a lot of subdivisions that are similar to it. So I think looking at 197, even though it is 6 months and it is kind of a farther way back, I think that is good. And I also think if this thing was priced more correctly, um, I don't want to say it would be pending already, but this is one of those areas in upcountry Maui where people, do keep an eye on it, and people that are looking to move up here, like if they're looking around, this is one of the areas, along with something like Makawao Ranch Acres, or Kula 200 would be another one. So I think if this thing was priced better, possibility that it could be pending already. Likely, without delving too deep into the numbers, I think that, it's positioned at the top of the market and it will end up doing a price reduction. It won't sell at this price. And even if they don't end up doing a price reduction, I think it will sell below what it's listed at. But again, haven't looked too deeply into the numbers there. So my kind of final thoughts for buyers and sellers based on this past week is that activity slowed. Obviously, a large part of that was due to the storm. Inventory remains high. It's still close to, year highs. This does create more leverage. There's no need to rush for buyers in today's market. Focus on properties that are sitting or recently reduced. Obviously, those two condos in Kihei are good kind of examples of that, and negotiate. So for buyers, I just put negotiate there because I think it's important that buyers aren't uncomfortable coming in with lower offers, because I think they need to understand that sellers will pretty much take a look at anything. They might not like it, but they will consider it. For sellers, buyer activity has slowed, but inventory is still elevated. So it's even, it just continues to be important that you focus on the fundamentals, you focus on getting the price right, you focus on making sure that the home or the unit is presented well, and then just make sure it's available, make sure people can get in. Um, don't give buyers a hard or buyers agents a hard time about wanting to show the unit right now. And I think buyers have more options and are price sensitive. Obviously, overpriced listings will get passed on. And this one, priced correctly or just quickly to maintain momentum. So the point that I wanted to make here was if you are a seller and you priced it too high, but you've accepted the fact that you have to do a price reduction, make sure that you go out and market the price reduction. Because what happens in a lot of situations, especially if you look at like Napili condos right now, right? We're seeing a ton of inventory being added. So make sure when you do the price reduction, one, make sure it's significant enough that it will draw attention. And then two, make sure you go back to the people that were interested in your unit or were interested in your home and you tell them about the price reduction. Because just with so much inventory, people move on quickly, buyers move on quickly. So if you don't go out of your way to go back and be like, hey, we reduced the price on this one, I think it's worth checking out. It doesn't have to be a crazy message, but just go back and tell them like, hey, we did do a price reduction. And I think that will help you to get more offers. So here's kind of just our information. I'm on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Substack for written content. I'm even on LinkedIn. Um, so you can find me pretty much anywhere. Like, comment, subscribe. Please feel free to share the video. Leave in the comment section the kind of videos that you guys would like to see, like what would bring value to you. And hopefully I can get around to making it. Again, I'm hoping that we get better weather this week on Maui. It's been a rough 2 weeks, and I hope everybody is safe. I hope there wasn't too much damage done to people's property. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.